Hello and good morning again. Welcome to session 2 of Getting to Know You for the T-level in Construction Design and Planning. It's Matthew Winstanley here, so your main presenter, and we've also got John with us again today. Hello, John.
Hi, Matt. Yes, and good morning, colleagues. It's good to be with you again. Thank you.
Okay, so it looks, I've just had a quick look through, it's a lot of people from yesterday, so what I'll do, I'll just go through, I'm trying to think if there's any housekeeping first of all. The sessions are recorded, so that's just for your personal, the benefit to know that, and also that you can always look, I think they'll be released later on, won't they, on the website, so you can actually hear them then. Again, communication the same way. There is a group chat, so any questions that you want going out to the whole group or any general issues you have or queries, whack into the group chat. If you've got a more personal thing, if you need to get off or something like that and you want to just put a question directly to John, then you can just use the Q&A. And that's just so if you don't need anyone else to see that or you've got a separate issue. So, 1 second, I'm just going to restart. I didn't open the window. I need to open all these windows, you see. So I've done that one now for the Q&A's open. So, today we're going to look through the core content. Now, from yesterday, I know that some of you already started this, so I hope that you've actually delivered some of the core content. Otherwise, you're in trouble. But otherwise, if you are starting September, then it's a good point to start and you can see how you're going to look at delivering this content. I suppose for those who have started delivery, you may want to change things from this year to next year on how it's gone. And then again, it isn't the easiest year to judge that, I suppose. So we're going to look at ways of delivering the core content, some tips, and mainly what resources are available that Pearson have produced. We're going to just hopefully have some input from yourselves about, especially those who have started in September. It'd be interesting to see how you've gone about delivery, because I suppose up until Christmas you did have quite a standard delivery. Hopefully, really, we weren't in lockdown at that point, so you would have started as much as normal as I suppose you could. And then we'll have feedback discussion, and also again, for the last half hour or so, me and John will still be on the line, so if anyone does want to put any other queries or questions forward, please do that. And as we said yesterday, it's a good point today. At the end of today, if there's any queries we can't answer, we'll hopefully have an answer by next week at the latest. Were there any points yesterday that we needed answering and we didn't get? If there's any of that, John will remind me, I'm sure. I know there was a bit about apprentices that we didn't clear up, but it is getting cleared up. I know someone also asked about the, I think, maths and English. And in terms of that, in terms of a level 2 qualification, it's really up to you as a centre. As long as the learners are doing a recognised level 2 qualification in maths and English or numeracy and literacy kind of thing, then that's okay. You could, I presume we're still delivering with functional skills. You can resit GCSEs, that kind of way. So there are ways around that. And that just fits in with your centre yourself. So what we're going to be looking at is the core component. Now the core component is meant to have content that is going to be used later on in all the specialisms, but it'll be to a different amount. So certain parts of the core content will be heavily carried forward into the occupational specialism, other bits not so much, and we'll hopefully find some of those areas today. So I'm sure those who are doing sort of building civil engineering we'll look at the core content slightly differently to someone who's doing the surveying specialism. So these are the 14 topics. Hopefully everyone can see that. I'm not going to read them all through right now. What I'll do is I'll read them through and I'm looking at the specification. And you'll be able to see some of them are new to sort of a construction specification. Other ones almost look pretty standard. What I will say here is these are not modules. They're not examined as separate things. They are a list of content as if what you get is within an A level or a GCSE or any standard qualification, and it will all be examined with a single endpoint assessment. So that's what's got to be remembered in this case. You can't just deliver a bit of a unit and think that's not going to get tested or checked again. The way of delivering this is quite new, especially for people who are used to delivering BTECs or modular qualifications. So it is, again, the core content is mainly knowledge and understanding, and it is assessed through an endpoint assessment, or an exam, as we call it. And what you're covering is in the specification, and the specification will list all the core content that needs to be covered, and it'll give you an idea of the breadth and depth of coverage required. I presume that's also called a range, I suppose. So I'm going to start really by looking at a little bit of the content, and then I'm going to bring up the specification to see what it actually looks like there. And then what we're going to do is look more deeply into some of the case studies and that kind of thing. I want to just quickly do the poll, or if you can go into the group chat, what I'd like to know from the delegates who are here today is whether yourselves, you sat there now listening to me, will be delivering, or whether you won't be delivering, you could just be a manager, or whether you're doing both. So if you can just put into the group chat quickly, just to see what percentage of people here today will actually be delivering, and if you've thought of, or you might actually already be delivering, and also if you do break the topics down and what specific topics you might actually cover yourself. So if you can just put, I'm a tutor, or both for tutor and manager, or neither, if you're neither. You might just be here as, I don't know why, some other reason, just enjoyment on a Friday morning. And also, if there's any topics that you think, and also another good one is if you've topics there that you think that's an unusual topic, or it's difficult, or we found it difficult to cover. So we've got some people starting in September. So there's some people there who might be just coordinating the course and getting people in. I know yesterday some people said they were currently recruiting for September. So in that case, you won't actually be, you may not be delivering, but you do. It's a good idea to know what you're delivering because it'll help with your recruitment. Now I'll give you just a couple of minutes just to get into that. Have we got most? I'm just reading some of these group chats. Another good, thank you, Deborah. I like your input again. That's good. So yeah, we've got a lot of tutors here, which is really good as well. So there we go. Yeah. Yeah, it is just a good point there. Is some people will have specialisms, and that is where I think centres may have or struggle at the start to see how we're going to deliver this content. Because if you have got someone who's sort of strong in the maths and that side of things, and someone else who might be more, who's had experience on site, might be site management areas, they might be good at the project management. How do you split up delivering a bit of maths and, say, a project management area where it's all interlinked? And it's hopefully we'll look at that today and see how we might be able to get around that. And also, if you yourselves can, any input, how you might have handled that in the last year if you have started delivery. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so there are areas where people might have to think, where do we go and how do we actually get someone to deliver this unit? Or not this unit at all. I need to really stop using that word, this bit of content. So, I'm going to go back to one. So the detailed content, I'm going to bring up now the specification. And I will share it on my screen. Hopefully you've all got the specification. So what I will do is, while I'm doing it, I'll give you page numbers. Again, John reminded me earlier that, I think I did remind you yesterday, is the page numbers as we all know this anyway, but the page number on the PDF isn't the same as the page number on the actual specification if you have a paper copy. What I'll do is I'll just use page numbers on the actual PDF because they should be the same then, because you can see them as well, because you can always see it on the bottom of the document. So I'm going to quickly go to share screen. There we go. And it will take a few seconds to come up, I'm afraid. That's just technology for us. Come on, there. And hopefully, John, if you can tell me when it's come up, that would be great. And I don't know if you're on mute or not.
Yes, but that's fine.
Brilliant, thanks for that. Okay, I'm just scrolling up a little bit. There's a competence, we've gone past that. We looked a little bit into that yesterday. So there's the content areas. So I'm on page 23 as a PDF, and we've got content summary. Go on.
Sorry, Matt, just to interrupt. You're showing which page at the moment?
23 of the PDF.
I think you're still on the slide. Yeah, you're still on the slide.
Page 13. Okay, what I'll do is I'll stop and I'll just reshare. No problem. So that should now, it should just show you the core content. The content summary, which is just all the topics, all 14. It's page 13 of the document. I'm going to turn over to the actual specification that was on the slide before I went on to screen share. So the detailed content, if you are struggling with the screen share, I'm on page actual 14 of the specification.
Yeah.
So on page 14, go on.
Yes, I think from group chat, some of the colleagues are saying that they can see your page 13.
They can. Yay. So the health and safety, this is a full breakdown. What we've got first is a leader statement. Students must be able to understand, apply an understanding of health and safety issues in construction sector in a range of design, surveying and planning contexts. They must explore how legislation and regulations impact on organisations. So that's the standard introduction. Now, we've got students must understand roles, responsibilities, enforcement, penalties for non-compliance. And we look through the standard topics. And these are topics we've seen plenty of times. And although I'll go into the case studies later, a lot of tutors will have some very good case studies themselves. They'll have notes, they'll have activities, lesson plans sorted that cover a lot of these. And generally when you're doing health and safety anyway, it does link to something else. If you're looking at an accident on a building site, it links to CDM. It then links to programming and planning and things like that. And whenever I delivered health and safety, I would automatically link it to other topics, because as a topic on its own, it can be quite dry. So it's an area where we need to look at, incorporate it into other areas. Now, the whole, if we carry on, just going to carry on down, it must understand implications, must understand. So it's all understanding. Are all the topics understanding? Because it is all knowledge, isn't it? Yeah. So, you'll have seen some of these as well before, or very similar, the actual headings and the topics themselves. Now, the only difference we've got here is instead of having to look at these and look at them separately, they will be assessed through an exam. So they do need some application to a case study, because that is how it'll be assessed. And what we're going to do in a bit is we will be looking at some of the exams or the sample assessment materials and how these topics are assessed within a case study. And that is, it's something that the learners do find difficult as a starting point. Is they're often very good, especially from going through GCSEs, at answering a direct question. When they've then got to apply it, or it's to sort of a case study or a situation, there can be difficulties there. And that is, I think, at an early start of delivery of the course, you need to get that into place, working from how's this actually applied to an actual specific situation. So that's an area I would certainly be looking at early on in delivery, of looking at case studies and looking at the application of knowledge straight away to case studies. So I'm sure everyone was really happy with a topic like health and safety, as in how we're going to deliver that. Other topics now, which are a little more nuanced, sort of, if we go down a little bit, I'm just going to quickly look at the maths. Just going to scroll down this measurement. I think it's on 7, is it? Is the maths 7? I think it is. Yeah. So you've got construction mathematics techniques. Again, most of it's pretty straightforward. We've got areas and volumes, easy to incorporate into other areas. Pythagoras' theorem as well. Triangle rules, algebraic rules. We did look at a small area there. There is some differential calculus and integral calculus. This is an area of study which is quite specialist, and it's probably a little bit more aimed at those who are going to be doing the civil engineering content, or maybe with the building services as well. So there are certain core areas which are more linked to a certain area of the occupational specialism than others. So it's a key area that you do need to look at. So if you know what occupational specialism you are doing next, it is really important to maybe spend a little bit more time on the core in that, because it will help you in the second year, or help the learners. Another area there, if we look at the information and data, there's a lot about BIM and protocols with interaction with computers and things like that, data management. Again, there's an awful lot of that covered in the surveying occupational specialism. So there is interlink there. So the content is split up, but it's not unitized, so it's assessed holistically. And what I want to do now is have a look at the resources Pearson have put together in order to help you with the delivery of this. And those who have, just to quickly, I'm going to stop the screen share, just a quick poll. Those people who have started delivering, how many of you have used the actual case studies that have been provided? And were they provided in time is a good question. So just quickly, we'll go on there. If you can just go on the group chat, those who are delivering, how many people have actually used the case studies that have been provided? Go on, not all at once.
Matt?
Yep.
It's just a question raised. David has raised a question about the addition of the spec that you're sharing.
Have I got an old additional?
I'm not too sure.
1 second. Specification. Am I using the one off the website? I'll just double check that I'm using the one off the website, not one I've downloaded. I'll double check that. Oh, I'm still got an issue 1 here, so I'm going to close that. Just while we're doing that, yeah, just to see how many people have actually, I was just trying to see how many people have used the I think it's the same. Still issue 1. Maybe there's a slight difference to it, I don't know.
Yeah, apparently the one on the resource list is July 2020.
I've got September 20. I've got September 2020 here.
Yeah. So
if you are if that's the case, that first teaching September 2020. What's the issue date?
Yeah. David has clarified. You're using the correct one from the website. It seems the one on the resource list is.
If Gino can get onto that and just remove it from the resource list, and then we'll look at updating it. Because, we need to use the latest one off the website, really. So if you are using the specification, if you just go onto the website and then do it that way, it's something to really keep an eye on as well, especially with new qualifications. Okay, so is anyone using, just a quick one, is anyone actually using the resources that Pearson have produced? It's looking like no one is at the moment, but that's no problem. We'll go into them and see if you will do. You're allowed to? No? I'm going to move on, because I'll start showing you. What I've got next is just a quick page just showing you, as I was talking about, the how areas interlink. And again, we'll look at this after. We'll have a break for 10 minutes, and I'd like you just to think about complementary areas outside the ones we've already looked at. And I might mention just a couple themselves. So here's a couple here. So students must understand the principles of electricity. Students must understand that construction serves the economy as a whole. And students must understand the advantages and alternative methods of energy production. So you've got principles of electricity, energy production. You've got telecommunications and renewable energy projects, etc. So you've got 3 areas from 3 separate parts of the content, point 2, 10 and 9. So if we look at 2, 10 and 9, which is We're there, just trying to get up to is, I've got far too many documents open. There we go. 2 is science, 10 is sustainability, and 9 is construction and the built environment industry. So those 3 there, you can see straight away there are links between them. You can probably even link into health and safety there, as you're talking about electricity as well. So you've probably got 3 or 4 areas that are linked there quite easily in terms of content. Here we go. Yeah. So people are planning to use the case studies from September. They are a nice. I know I always had trouble sort of getting case studies together, so it's good that they have been produced straight away for the delivery. And what I'll do is there's loads of information about them as well within the website itself. So again, I'm going to have to share it. I hate sharing screen because it's so slow, but it's the easiest way. So I'm going to go straight back onto the website again. So started sharing, there we go. And I've gone on to the main page just to show you where it is. This is where we got to yesterday. You got 2 level in construction, design, surveying and planning. That should probably be up by now. And under the core content. Now when you drop down the core content, there's not just one case study, there's a whole load of them. There's V&A in Dundee, there's Thames Tideway, there's HS2, Dover Western Docks Revival, a modular building, and then there's a nice little introductory document. It's the TQ Construction Delivery Pack Contents, and this is what I'm going to start with. It's a PowerPoint that's been saved as a PDF. It's awesome. Why don't they save it as a PowerPoint? So, delivery pack for design, surveying and planning for construction. So,
I'll just pop the link for that into the chat.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks a lot. And you can see that the reason I'm going in this way, you can also see how to get to it at a later date. And also, if you do go in via this route, you'll see any updates because it'll say which are new and things when you go in as well. So this is an important or useful, whichever way you want to put it, is the case study matrix. Now, if we just a few seconds to get your head around it, I must remember I've looked at this before, so it sits quite easily with me. But what we've got along the top here is the different case studies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 case studies. And then the topics. There's not all the topics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a couple of topics missing. Laws there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. Which are missing out of here. Is maths missing? It is, isn't it? And science, maybe. Yeah, those are the 2 that haven't been related into a case study. I don't see why not. I'm sure we could be able to get them into a case study. So, oh no, construction, maths and science is that. They put it together, haven't they? It's maths and science. Are they separate topics on the actual thing? So, you've got the topics down the side, and then along the bottom, we've got the occupational specialisms that they are best suited to. I'm not saying that they are unrelated to the other ones, but this is the best relation to them. So, if you're delivering, if you know you've got a lot of students who are going to be doing civils and building services, what you want to do is really look along the bottom here. You've got the Dover Western Docks, you've got Thames Tideway and HS2, have got good links to the civil engineering. If you've got a lot of students doing surveying, design and civil engineering, they might be splitting in the second year, it looks like Dover Western Docks would probably be the best case study to look at in first instance. What you've also got to look at, though, is how many they cover, how many topics they cover. So the Thames Tideway covers, with embedded and all that, a lot of the topics, whereas Rick's Building of the Future has much fewer topics integrated into it, and also is only really suitable for those doing surveying and design. So that's an interesting matrix there, where you can say, okay, which case study will we look at, and look at delivering for our learners this year, or which ones. You might do more than one, you might do 3, you might do 4. It's up to you. So how to use a case study matrix? I've done that. So I'm going to open a lesson. I'm going to open a case study in a minute, so we'll look at that. But this tells you how they work. There is an introduction PowerPoint. That's all been put together. It's also got industry resource links included. The topics, and there is a link to assessment in them. And also there's like a blank document where you could link in as well. And then it's also got the topics, in which case the sample assessment materials themselves are linked to. As the qualification progresses, there'll be live exams released, and that's when you'll also want to maybe include into that the tracking of the new questions to the content and the case study. So especially those people who are looking at coordinating for next year, these are really important documents for you if you want to get, when you get your staff together before they start in the year, I've got this information to run through to give them all a heads up really on what they need to do and what you need to put together. You can also use Pearson's own training, as we're doing now, and get your staff on it, but you can just do this in a staff development situation. So that's the delivery pack. And I'm going to go back. Am I still sharing screen? I am. That's the one. So I'm back now. It should eventually have come there. Hopefully we're back to the main page with all the core content. And which case study should we look at? Do you want to make a choice? Let's have a quick poll. Go on the group chat quickly and say which case study you'd all prefer just to quickly look through. I'll give you 3 minutes to put some ideas into it. So, go on. So make a decision. Thames Tideway. Go on, Martin. Should we go first up? Best dressed. Oh, we got 2. We need another vote. Come on. Okay, we've got 2 for Thames. That's good. We're getting a winner here. I'll give you 10 seconds. I'll do. Oh, yeah, it looks like Thames. We're going for it. I'm just going to quickly now. So what I'll do again, I'll just have to, I think I've gone off the screen share, so I'll go back on that. What we'll do is look at all the documents involved in that case study, and then we'll just open the main ones and just quickly run through them and see how they work. So it's that again. So again, it should slowly be coming up now. But we've got you've got the PDF student brief case study. We've then got a zip file with student worksheets in. What I'll do is we'll have a break again like yesterday, just for 10 minutes. I'll open those up and I'll give you a chance just to download and have a look what's in those. But there are things like plans and stuff like that that you can use directly with the learners. We've got, I should have something else. Yes, down at the bottom there is, you've got industry resource links. We've got the case study and topic lesson plans, and that's it. So we'll start. You can see me downloading that now. So we've got the PowerPoint presentation coming up. Hopefully you can see that. That should be coming up on the screen. So it's a nice little starter. You've got as a PowerPoint presentation. Gives you a nice introduction to your learners. Again, they've got that. It goes through the project as a whole. It talks about the history of London and areas and things like etc., what the issues are. And that's it really. It gives you a nice introduction. Now if you wanted to, you can use that PowerPoint, you can add bits to it. You might have resources you've already got that you can add into that. So there's your introduction for your learners, your first lesson, nice and easy. And you've got a nice case study there that the learners can actually start get their claws into and start researching. We then, and this is what the teachers needed, the lesson resources or topic and lesson plans. So again, it may be easier and quicker for you if you're on the website, you go on, you can hopefully see where we are, be able to download that document, because I'm now looking at the case study and topic lesson plans. So again, it's nice that lesson plans have been, or some start has been made to lesson planning at this stage, so it gives you an idea of where you can actually, or timescales, etc. So first of all, it gives you a overview there of the topics that have coverage within this case study. So you've got the Thames Tideway covers the following topics from the core content component. You've got the construction, maths and science, design, law, CBE, industry, relationship management and commercial business, project management. Additional topics which are embedded would be health and safety, sustainability, measurement, information and data, building technology and digital technology. And then it's also even got what you need to go alongside this. So you've got the Thames Tideway introduction PowerPoint, which we just flashed up a minute ago. We've got the Thames Tideway industry links, and then links to assessment, which we'll look at in a minute. So there's an introduction to the case study for the tutors to use. And then there's lesson topic plans. So it isn't a lesson itself, it's a topic that may cover a few lessons, and it all depends on different centres will deliver differently. So one person's lesson might be a 3-hour lesson, another centre might be doing half-hour lessons or an hour lesson or 45 minutes. So that's what you've got to assume. You've got to work this into your delivery mode that you're using within your centre. Actually, I think that's another point we could get up on the the group chat is in terms of delivery. Are you doing big long lessons? Are you doing it as a project based sort of? You could be doing it as tutorial based learning at times. So it's something we can look at later just to see how you're approaching actually the delivery of the course. And I understand that certain lessons are, I don't know if it's better, but traditionally taught in a classroom sort of 45-minute, 1 hour lesson. I think maths is often done like that, even at FE level, whereas I deliver CAD, and I'd probably deliver it more like an art lesson, where you have a lot longer sessions because you need that time and you need that input. And sometimes, although the learners aren't doing a lot because they're just putting lots of lines together, it takes a lot of time. There's less actually input from the tutor directly, sort of in classroom delivery. It's more tutorial based, where you'll be going around helping individuals. So that's the way of when you look at your delivery of what you're going to be looking at. So what we also have with this is it gives you an approximate time. So it says this topic, they reckon about 8 hours to deliver. This is the first topic, infrastructure projects. It gives you the links to the knowledge and understanding. It also gives student self-study activities. So anyone who's, I sometimes did, I know it's difficult, but I've done the reverse classroom techniques whereby learners go away and they come back with information. It very much depends on your learners and what they're used to, but that can be a very effective way. And if they can go away and do some self-study before things start, that's a really good way of getting into topics. You will find that some learners will do unbelievable amounts of research because they get really into it, and someone else will do nothing, and that then becomes an issue. So we've even got instructions for the tutors. So as you can see, a lot of effort's gone in to help with this delivery mode, and there's a lot of instructions here for the tutors to use directly, so it does help an awful lot. So what you do need to do, though, when you're using these cases, make sure that your cross-linking and everything is actually covered from the content into the case study. And there's nothing wrong with adding, if you feel that a topic is missed and you could get it into the case study or work alongside it, then that's what you want to be doing. So activity 2, activity. So again, then we get onto activities like a desktop survey is activity 1. If we then go back to the what do you call it?
Sorry, Matt.
Yep.
Matt, just a message here.
Yep.
On group chat, is the screen not changing?
Is it not changing? I did say sorry. Is it changing between my pages when I'm going across?
Perhaps could the delegates maybe just let us know what's happening? I can't actually see on my platform.
It's no problem. Yeah.
What the audience
there is an issue with the platform on there because I can't actually see what you're seeing. So I'm just assuming my screen is shared. What I'll do is, while I'm going through these, if you do just download the document, I'll just quickly go through pages as I'm looking through it. So what I've done there is I've just quickly gone through the first document in terms of the the case study for the Thames Tideway. I've downloaded, I've opened the case study and topic lesson plans for the Thames Tideway. This is for the tutor. So there's a tutor pack.
Yeah, Matt, I'll pop the link for that. Is that Thames Tideway student brief case study?
No, that's case study, Thames Tideway, case study, and topic lesson plans. That's what I've just been going through. So if you put that link in the Thames Tideway case study and topic lesson plans, a PDF file, and that was released on the 22nd of September.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that has got everything really the tutor will need to go through the whole lot of this lesson and cover those topic areas. And as I said, there's what we've then got to go with this. What the tutor pack is, you've got the industry resource list. So then there's an industry resource links. You've got the same information at the start. And then what it's got is there's some websites that can be used. So it's Tideway London. There's Designing Buildings. That's a really good wiki, by the way, and they've put it on here. The Designing Buildings wikis, I've been using that for years, for any topics. You've got the British Geographical Survey. So there's lots of just links to industry. You've got RICS that can be used within the research, etc., for the topic and the case study itself. You've got UK Ledge. So there's just a list of resources that you can use, so you don't have to search around websites and try and find good and bad ones, and it'll help if you release that then to the learners. Learners can get this as well. They'll also be using websites which aren't just Wikipedia, and it's not some New Zealand or some South African website about a dam, because they're really good at that, are learners. They'll just download the first website that comes up, and it's not even a UK website. So it's really good if you get those and use those. Then what you've got the PowerPoint presentation. Then along with all this, there is a zip file. Now, the zip file, it's got Thames Tideway student worksheets. It's then got a load of worksheets in that the learners that you can just use directly with the learners. So I did say at that point I would have a break, and I am. So I'm going to have just 10 minutes because I want to download that zip file, and you can do the same. So it's the Thames Tideway student worksheets. We're just going to quickly look through those. Was there anything else we wanted to ask people about while we're on a break,
Matt,
John?
Yeah. Deborah had asked a question at the start of the session about is a transition course being developed in order to prepare people for the T-level. I put that up to Pearson, and a response has come through, which I'll just bring up here now. So Gabriel has replied, good point. Many learners are not ready to start a T-level at 16, given the demands of the qualification, and a formal transition year is something that the government have introduced. He provides a link for that, which I put into chat. It's in the form of a 16 to 19 study programme that can be tailored to the individual needs of the learners. I put that link into chat. He also goes on to say it's possible as part of the introductory technical skills that they could choose units from BTEC First, or even some units from BTEC National. He also says that the QCF's 180 guided learning hour certificate is still available. It also needs to include diagnostics, work experience, prep, English, maths, and personal development. So that's Gabriel's response to Deborah's question on transition.
So what we're kind of saying, there's not really something yet, but it's kind of getting put together. Did I get that right?
Well, it's not a specific program as such, but the first point, it's recognised, and he did send a link to a 16 to 19 study program that can be tailored to individual needs. So that's...
You're just getting a bit of... It's all right, John, just a quick... You're just getting a little bit of feedback there. I don't know why, but there's just some feedback coming through, but don't worry. You can hear mostly what you're saying. But yeah, I think we got the point there. You were just getting some feedback, and I don't know why. We are being...
Okay.
They're looking at the transition, yeah. That's fine, Deborah, yeah, so...
How's that sound now?
I think that's better.
Okay. So, the link takes you
as
to
I said, we'll go just for 10 minutes now. Get yourself a drink or whatever. Right. Come.
Yeah, that link takes you, that I put into chat, takes you to a T-level transition program, a framework.
Brilliant. So yes, so it's something it looks like it's quite open on what you can do as well. So it'd be interesting. So yeah, it's something that Deborah, I'm sure you should be able to sort that out from there. And if not, just get back to us, and I'm sure Gabriel will have an answer, or someone will. As I said, yeah, just a 10-minute comfort break. What time is it now? It's now 11:05. We'll come back. If we can download those resources, just have a quick look at, and I'll just want to quickly go through them. And what we also want to do, if you sat there and you've got nothing else to do, just have a quick think through of areas of study which link together nicely, because I want you to put a little bit of input in after as well. So 10 minutes, and I'll see you back at 11:05. Okay, anything else, John?
No, that's fine from here.
Right. I'll speak to you in 5 minutes, all right? Or 10 minutes. Okay, hello and welcome back. I hope we all had a good break, and I'm just looking. Okay. So now, so there's not a huge amount in that. 1 second. I'm just going to get the. Oh, we go. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Just checking. John, are you back again? And can you hear me?
Yes, Matt. Yep, I'm here.
That's good. Okay, so in fact, when I looked, actually, there's not an awful lot in that Thames pack with the student worksheets. If you look in the modular pack, in the modular construction pack, there is actually a lot more. So it depends on how they've put it together. In terms of the Thames Gateway, there are the other PowerPoints we'll look at as well. So there's a couple of Word documents, which are just a couple of tables with information for the learners to gather some information together.
Yeah.
To give them a
Matt,
start of things. Go on.
sorry, Matt. I was just going to say, on chat there, I popped in a link to the Thames Tideway website themselves, where
Oh, yeah.
they've put together some, particularly for post-16, addressing science and maths and engineering, various topics.
Okay. Yes. That'll be in the. Is that the website from the link on the industry links?
No, it's well, it's possibly the same. It's possibly the same, but I went directly to the Thames Tideway project itself.
Post 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quit.
Yeah, quite a few of those big projects like HS2 and Thames have, as part of their sort of commitment to the community, a requirement to produce sort of engagement activities like that, and part of legacy of the project that there would be learning materials produced. I think there was a lot. Yeah, Olympics 2020, 2012 produced quite a lot of material that's still available as well.
It's awesome if you live in London, isn't it? No, what you'll also find in any big project is you'll probably find a lot of the contractors are those who are involved in the development of these qualifications. So if you do look through the list of employers at start of the specification, something we mentioned before we started, actually, me and John just had a discussion, and if you are with getting employers and work experiences, I think John will want to mention something about this as well in a minute, is look through the list of employers who have had input into the T-level, and if they have got projects nearby your college or place of study, then it would be worthwhile getting in touch. And I've found in the past that they've been very helpful, even before, like when years gone by, if it's part of their, what do you call it, numbers and things, really, isn't it? That they need to get some kind of input into the local community and things. So it goes both ways. Go on, what's that, John?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. If delegates check, I'll pop the link into group chat, but on the last update from Pearson, some colleges who are already running the program have been benefiting from sort of a virtual work experience type effort from Kier, and I think one or two other firms, but Kier in particular is a company who are quite keen to work with colleges. So I'll pop in a link, and there's some good chat on a Zoom call where some colleges, I don't know if anybody online today, has any direct experience of that. If you have, maybe you could share that on the chat.
Thanks, John. That's brilliant. So along with the couple of Word documents, there's also the the student brief case study, and that is a document that you'll be able to get for the learners. So again, it's in the same location on the website. If you go on to the core component, again, I have got it open on the screen share, so I'll just quickly do that. There's the student brief PDF, which is really a student's booklet you can use for just handing out to the learners, and it's got the activities in as well. So there's stuff set out ready for you to use as a centre that you can just use straight from the website, and it does help an awful lot with, especially for new qualifications like this, to give you something to start off with at least. While I know I've been sometimes handed something you've got to start delivering next week. And as a tutor, you want to do a bit of research if you haven't got that time. Well, you've got something to start with there to get you into it while you're looking into and updating your other parts of the specification, etc., and your delivery methods. So some good resources online for you. What we want to look at as well is how, once we've covered this core content, what are we actually trying to get the learners to do? Because although doesn't sound right, that what you want to do is get them through the exam. That's what we want to do, is teach learners, but what we actually really want is them to do well in their exam, and sometimes they're not directly linked. So what we want to do is look at how this thing or these topics are assessed, and I want to do that through looking at probably a topic like maybe sustainability, which is an integrated topic really, and how is that assessed, say, on one of the exams. Now, in terms of the exams for the qualification, there are 2 of them. Yeah, Core 1, Core 2. Very straightforward. They cover different topics. So what I want to look at quickly is I'm going to look at the Core 1 exam. So again, if through the website, I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to also look at the content for the sustainability unit. So there's the core exam. I'm going to get that open now. I've got loads of Thameslink stuff open now, so I'm going to quickly close those off. But hopefully that gave you a good insight into the the case studies that are available, and hopefully you will use them, even if you don't use them in their entirety. Just maybe using part of them is a useful activity. So that's it. Won't be a second. So I've got those open. So now, yeah, I think with the modular building, there was a lot more learner activity sheets and other areas, some ground floor plans, etc., and things like that to go with it. So what I'm going to look at now is I'm going to open the core exam, Core 1, and we're going to look at. No, I'm struggling. Why won't that open? There we go. Is it here? I've got it already open. That's brilliant. So I'm going to open. Hopefully you've looked at the exams. Well, I'm going to open the core exam, and I'm going to look at question 6. So I'm just going to get that up now, and then I'm going to share it with you. So I need to go there. And share screen. I need that one. Hopefully this shares all right. Hopefully that shares all right. So, in the next few seconds or so, you should get a question up from an exam. So this is the Core 1 exam, and it's a question near the end of the exam. It's quite an extended question. So we've got a retailer is building a new supermarket. The building will use a steel portal frame structure, which is manufactured off-site. You've got a standard question there, off-site manufacture. And you may also see those who have done the NQF level 3. Some of the questions are quite similar in some cases, so there are other resources you could use to help with them if you're looking for more questions and things to show the learners, because that's another level 3 qualification in construction. So they are similar. I'm not saying they're the same, but they are similar. So if you are struggling with questions and things for sharing with learners to get them a bit of practice, it's not a bad idea. So what we've got is party of the question, and this is how it's integrated. So it started off with some off-site construction, talking about a supermarket, talking about large windows. It's got you've got to draw. It asks the learners to draw how we'll anchor the column to some concrete pads. So the learners are doing a bit of looking at how the thing would be designed and how they'd do a little detail there. So that's one part of the question. Then it moves on to a question that asks them, retailers often make use of renewable energy sources. Now hopefully you can see the page I've got up, but that's why I'm reading it out as well. There's an image of a supermarket. It's got a flat roof. It looks like it's got a bit of a small lake of a swale behind it. There's trees around it, etc. The retailer is considering using renewable energy as part of the new supermarket. This is shown in the image below. So there's an image, and they've got to think, what renewable energy sources could I use in this case? Discuss the suitability of renewable energy resources to this supermarket development. This is where we have to apply the knowledge. So we're saying this is renewable energy sources. So I'm going to just get that up, get the specification for that. So I don't know if you've got that up, but if you get the specification up, and we're looking at part 10, which is sustainability. It's coming up now. And I'm going to see if that will share. Hope the share screen's working okay.
Yeah, Matt?
Yeah. I should be back on a normal screen. I should be now going back to spec. Go on. Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. I was just going to say renewable energy also pops up in content area 2, the science.
Okay.
2.4.1.
So what we'll do is one second. There we go. So, yeah. So in the first instance, I've got the specification. I've got 10.8 and advantages of alternative energy methods, production, and the impact of energy use. So it's got the different types of energy resources there. They'll be examined within this bit of content. So it's got the different alternative energy sources. And you said part 2.
Yeah.
So what was it?
Content area 2, science. 2.4.1.
I'm just going to get there now. 2.4.1. We've got generation of electricity, then it's got renewable, non-renewable. So renewable, we've got solar, wind, tidal and hydro. That is then linked to 10.8, which has got a bit more, it asks for, it doesn't give a bit that much more detail, but it says what you need to know, which is advantages, disadvantages. Now they'd be incorporated. So that's the content areas that are being examined, and we've got a single question there for these, which are, I'm just going to go off screen share and restart it again. I think with the screen share, if I just jump between pages, it doesn't like it sometimes, especially if I jump between an application and something else. So hopefully you can then see the question. So here's the question again. To discuss suitability of renewable energy sources. So it's suitability, and in the content there it did ask about advantages and disadvantages, and that sort of works together. So what we're looking at there is which would be used, which you could and couldn't use in this location. Then on the original SAM, there is a mark scheme attached to it as well. So we don't make fools of ourselves, we can look at the answer. Now, sometimes, I working as an examiner as well, we can disagree with what we think is our interpretation. So it is really important to look at things like examiners' reports and mark schemes, just to ensure that our thinking is along the same lines as the examiner at that point, because that does make a difference with exams. It's one of those areas that you do need to do when you are delivering exam-based topics. So there is quite an open response here with a lot of choices, as we'd expect with anything to do with sustainability. There isn't ever one answer. There's usually a mix of responses that can go towards that. And there will be the standard. So you've got your solar, you've got your heat pumps. And what the learners need to be doing here is there is an image, and they've got to use that image. They've got to relate to it. Yeah. So wind, as it says, the site has a number of tall trees. Yeah, it's saying that the turbine would have to be taller than the trees, therefore it could impact on impact on the local environment in that respect. I think looking at it, you're looking at your solar for your large roof area, and as I mentioned, there's water behind you. It doesn't actually say it's a river or not, does it? So you could actually state it, if it wasn't running water, you could use some kind of heat pump in there. Okay, so that's how it goes, and then you look at the marks. You've got 6 marks in total, and there's how the marks are awarded. So there's, again, hopefully we're familiar, but then again, we will be looking at this in more detail. I think, are you looking at this in more detail, John, with there's some specific training on the actual exam itself, isn't there?
Yes, Matt. There is. So we have 2 events next week, but then halfway through April, another series begins, and we look at the core in exams in detail, the ESP in detail, the occupational specialisms in detail.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Delegates will be notified of those dates if they haven't already.
Okay, so yeah, that's why I don't want to get into any more detail in the exam at the moment, because that is for another time and another place. So I need to get my head now and just think, what have we covered and what else do we need to cover? So if we go quickly back to the agenda, just to make sure. Okay, delivering the core content, practical tips with a focus on key content areas. Activities, discussion, teacher, qualification, feedback and discussions. in terms of looking at what we've got, we've nearly kind of covered what we wanted to. Now, what I did want to say before we started was I wanted us to think as a group of any tips on the delivery of the content, any areas of content that we feel are difficult to incorporate in. So that's what I'd like us to do now for the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes. If anyone can start us off by saying an area of content that they think, actually, this is difficult to incorporate in, or even more so, why is it here? And then let's look at if we can answer those questions. So I'll put it over to you as sort of an activity, and we'll discuss this, is areas of the content which we feel are a bit more difficult in terms of delivery as a integrated approach, and it's more standalone. So go ahead. Go on, Will. That's fine. Well, I'll say we'll be finished in 10 minutes anyway, especially if no one has any questions. So we're just looking at just any issues that people have had, especially people who have this year have been delivered and thought, oof. No problem, Karen. That's fine. Will you still? Oh. Will the group chat be published after? I think does the chat get published, doesn't it?
On that point, Matt, that is possible, and a summary of the chat could actually be emailed out to delegates.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
how's that organised? Do we know?
We'll have a chat with Gino about that, but that has happened previously.
Brilliant. Let's do that then. That's okay. Yeah, we'll sort that out, Karen. We'll get Gino to sort that. Tim, good one. So maths is a bit challenging to teach. I'm afraid I'm a physics background and maths, so I don't find that. But there are some areas, I did mention it before, with the introducing differentiation integration into the specification. I can see that as being an issue, as it's quite difficult to do as a. It's difficult to integrate integration into the case studies. That's why it's not being done, I don't think. But the other areas that are maths is quite straightforward in terms of the areas and volumes and things. Luckily, you can always put that into it. As well with the differentiation integration areas is that is really focused towards the civils and the building services people. The alternative forms of construction, putting that into give us a number on those topics quickly, David. Alternative forms of construction. So what was the topic area there? And I'll quickly look at it. Nearly there. That's fine. It's don't worry. It's difficult to have a discussion when it's sort of one way through a group chat and another way through myself talking. That's where I know we can't do this at the moment, that face-to-face does work sometimes better, especially in terms of, I know me and John have done a few face-to-face, and you can have a much better discussion about topics such as this. So it's if we now just put any information together, any other topics or anything like that we might want to discuss, we'll have a look at that. But I'm happy now. I think if anyone has got any questions, what we need to do now is just conclude the feedback for myself is that I would say you need to use the resources that have been provided by Pearson. They've been put together with the aid of employers and people involved in development of the qualifications, so they will help with delivery in terms of getting to the exam-based questions that we have. I'd also say get involved in the networking events. We mentioned those yesterday, so you get a chance. They are more open, where we're on like Zoom calls, and you can discuss things a bit more readily. And that's about it, really. John, anything from yourself then?
Yeah, a question was asked about getting a copy of the chat, various links, etc., emailed out. I've put that up to Gino in event support to address. He's asking somebody else, but in the meantime, what people could do before they actually go off is go to the group chat. This may be possible. Just highlight all the text and copy it that way.
Yeah, stick it into it and then stick it in a Word document or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good point. Yeah, there might be he's looking at permissions and things, isn't he? It's Gino at the moment.
Yeah. But while it's still live, I'm just trying to. Yeah, it seems to work.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. As I said, I'm happy, really. I think we've gone through what we needed to. We've looked at some core content. We've looked at how it can be delivered. We've also looked at how it is assessed. It's the other key areas we need to think about. This is holistic. It's sort of a joined-up approach to delivery. Things do cross over. Although it works nicely in terms of delivery, I find it does personally, it's difficult in terms of tracking and planning. It does make that job a little bit harder. Once it's done, it works, but that first initial planning, have we covered everything? Different lecturers covering the right things that they want to, and is anything getting missed out? That's the only areas really you got to think about at the start. So it's sort of planning your curriculum, making sure you're covering all the topics, and that something isn't getting missed out, because the last thing you want to do is find at the end or even when the exams come out that there's a topic there that one lecturer thought they were doing, someone else thought they were doing, and no one's done it. And that's what you need to that's the key area to think about. So what I would do is, especially at course manager level, is you'll want to be looking, once you've got the program set out for the year and your scheme of work or your assessment planning documents in place, you just need to check that all topics are being covered, and also that I suppose it's a bit earlier than that, but with your recruitment, that you've got someone who can deliver all topic areas. So it's difficult, but you don't want to be duplicating staff who can deliver the same thing when you need someone who can deliver something else. And then there's the other areas where you might have to get a bit of extra help. I know early on someone said about the law part of the curriculum. That's an area where you might want to get a bit of extra help, someone said. And it's an area where you could get maybe a specialist to come in and do a talk. Again, I don't know. I don't know how much lawyers charge nowadays, but getting someone in to help out with that, I don't know. Let's have a look. It's a lot about the contracts, isn't it, with the law? So the civil law isn't too difficult. It's useful if you can get someone who's had some dealings with JCT or the different contracting procurement areas. And a lot of it is online. It's a lot of the law content is just general legislation really covered within the building industry. So I wouldn't get too bogged down with that. Cool.
If I could add to that, Matt, I think it came up previously. If some of the centres have already been running the BTEC National Programme, obviously the content is structured different, but the fundamentals are pretty much the same. So even the BTEC book that was produced for the RQF version has a lot of good relevant material. Centres may already have that resource.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so I wouldn't just throw away your old resources. I think I did mention that before, where you can see from the content when we just quickly look through the health and safety, there's a lot of overlap from the old qualification because it was updated, I think, it was updated not that long ago for the RQF.
Yeah,
was the BTEC. So you got to think about it that way. So it isn't
even
replacing it.
Yeah, even that area of the Pearson website for the BTEC program are developing resources, that they would find useful on the T level. And another one is even for the HN level. I know it's a wee bit above T level, but in terms of resources and sort of learning packs, they're producing some very good stuff there.
Yep.
That's available on the HN section of the Pearson website.
Yeah, really good point. Yeah, that's it. And the other thing to use is if you've got any specialists, is getting in contact with people. I know I've had some very good people in I've had planners in, and I've had project managers are always someone who you can quite often get someone because they've got some. Because they work in the office, they've often got some overheads and things and some programs that they like to share with learners and come in and do a bit of like a expert, what do they call it? Expert, not testimony, but they'll do an expert's talk to the learners, and you can use that as well to help with your delivery and assessment. So, yep. Again, it's now. It's coming up to 22. I'm just reading their comments again. Well done, John. Yeah, good points there, Debbie. Yeah. So, any other points, please put in the group chat. Me and John will be around now for 10 minutes or so. But any other issues? Get in touch, or I'm happy there. Yourself, John?
Yes. I think there was good coverage and good interaction from delegates this morning, which is to be welcomed, and any interaction or suggestions is always a benefit to other colleagues. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And just along with that, if anyone, make sure you do keep in touch through the networking events and anything else. But I'd like to thank you for your time today. Hope to see you all next Thursday, where we'll be looking at Part C, which is, I just need to if I move the slides on a little bit, I'll show you. I think it's to do with the occupational specialisms. It is. Yes, so session 3 will be occupational specialism. Very similar to today. We'll look in depth at the specification, and then we'll look at the resources and all that's available. And also at this point, yesterday you put up which specialism you were interested, you were likely to deliver. If you just look a little bit more into that before next week, just to ensure you're a bit more certain about which ones that you are going to be delivering. And if anyone's decided to take on the hazardous materials, that'd be great. So thank you for your time today, and I hope to see you next Thursday. As I said, we'll keep the chat open for 10 minutes anyway. So thank you and goodbye.